I am here to discuss restoring an old photo. This is the before, this is the after, as you can see. Fortunately, this photo was not too damaged in the face. There are other tutorials that I have that discuss that. What it is, the background is torn. There's a few repairs that had to be done in the photo, in the blouse here. I'm going to start working on this. I'm going to be doing a few tools in here. So first thing I want to do is to crop this down, work on this. And I'm just trying to get an approximation. You can always do another crop later on. Let's enlarge this, Control or Command plus. What we need to do here, what I always do, is I duplicate the layer. Command J or Control J. I'm using a Windows base here. Works exactly the same between the two of them. And we have this here. What I need to do, I want to get this on a new background. I'm going to go over a couple little things here. For example, I could use the quick selection tool, which a lot of people really like. I click here, click selection tool, and I go into here. It does a good job up through the face. But because of the tolerances between the hair, everything is selected. I'm not crazy about it in this example. You could do this in a couple of parts, which is okay. I'm going to deselect. Sometimes you might want to use the magnetic lasso tool. And what I do, I click here and I just pull it around. And when there's a contrast, it knows what it's doing. But when we get into this area here, it gets a little bit fussy. And I'm clicking to get around here. It does take time. In this video, I'm going to be not doing a perfect job. If you want a perfect job, you're going to have to spend a little more time. And I'll be honest, I don't think people want to watch a 45-minute video on doing something when I'm just showing you concepts. So I have to do this for a second here. And I'm not perfect, okay? But you can fix the thing here. And I'll show you that in a minute. And I might make it look easy. I've done this more than once. When there's good contrast, it flows really nicely. And it doesn't matter about this part here because I'm going to crop it off anyway. Other thing too, if I go here and I just double click here, if I'm not on it, like I do there, you can double click. But the other thing too is if we see this little area here, I'm going to enlarge this a lot. Now, what you can do, you can add to it. You can add to the selection. You can subtract, intersect here. This says what? Add to selection. So I'm going to click here. I just go above. It adds to it here. And you're getting all these little things here. And I can just go into here. Because I'm adding to the selection, not subtracting. And I could also go over here and add. I'm just going outside. I go inside. It is added there. And again, I'm just looking at things here. I need to add this hair here. And I just go down here. And I just double click inside. And I go over here. And you can see it's getting a little funky here. I just keep clicking inside here. And it eventually will go in. Got that there. And I need to erase. I can erase later on, okay? Let me just get this thing here. And then I'm going to do a subtract here just to show you this. Subtract from selection. And I could just click up here. Down. Good job. I'm going to shrink this down. I'm going to float this to a new layer. Control or Command J. Shut this off here. Shut off that layer there. It looks pretty good. You can finesse. If you look up here, it's not perfect, okay? And I'm going to click on the background layer here. And what I can do, I'm going to talk about the clone tool. I'm going to click on the rubber stamp here, clone stamp here. And then what it is here, I have all layers here. And what I do, I have that layer showing. I didn't hide that. I could just alt-click in here. And then I'm going to shut this background off here. It's not perfect. Let's enlarge this a bit. I can go up in here and do an erase. I go to the eraser tool. Much too big. Left bracket to shrink it down. And what I could do here, and if I did too much, whoa, showing that deliberately here. I'm going into here. And what I can do here, you can do adjustment layers. You can do a lot of things. I'm showing you some really quick, relatively easy ways, which are not the easiest to do. And I could just go over here and erase, over here and erase. And I could also do some cloning in here. If I'm on that clone tool again, I just alt-click. See, and I'm just picking up the things over there. And I'm going to put on the background here again. This actually is not too bad. Looks a little better. I want to erase this little gray here because I had a softer brush there. And I could just go into here and I could just like undo. Adjust the size of the brush here. You got that little thing showing here. And this here, I could just move that out a little bit here. As I said, I'm doing this briefly so you can see what's going on. Next thing here. The portrait looks good, okay? I'm going to crop this down a little bit more. I'm going to pull this in. Pull this in. Pull this up a bit. Okay. I want her blouse to go to the bottom here. I don't want it to look too freaky. I could use the clone tool here again. I alt-click and just go into here. I got a little smudge here. Smudges here. Just like wiggle the mouse here. This is her necklace. That could be really tough. You could highlight it, not enlarge it, but make it a little bit darker here. Got a couple of little boogers on the photo here. So it's looking pretty good, pretty natural here. The hair I'm not crazy about, but watch as I alt-click here. And I just go. I'm softening the line on the side here. So it looks a little better. And if I look over here, I can see the hair looks a little bit, what's the word? Overdone. I could erase that little smudge here. So we've got the thing here. I'm on the eraser tool here. You could go into different modes with the brush here. Pencil here. I'm going to use the brush here. I can make it a little larger. I'm going to make it a softer one. And if I go into here, not perfect. I'll enlarge this here. And I could just go over here and just makes it look a little better here. As I said, more work is required to do this, okay? So I'm going to shrink this down again. We want to put a background on here, okay? I'm going to go and then put a layer in here. new layer here. I could color it in here. I go into the paintbrush. I have a color here. I click on that. I actually like that. It looks good. If I want to get a darker color here, or a lighter color, whatever, I can go over here. Click in here again. You might want some contrast. You could even do a colored background. I've seen some nicely abstracted things in here, but I'm going to go back to this. One little tip that I will show you. You can also texture the background. Some people like it, some people don't. It's pretty easy to do. I'm going to click on Filter, and what I'm going to do you see what says Noise? I'm going to say Add Noise. I've got this noise here. You make it very noisy here. It looks a little bit freaky right now. I say OK. I could say Uniform. A lot of things you could do here. I'm going to put a Gaussian blur on here. I'm going to say Filter. I'm going to say Blur, Gaussian blur. And then I can make it really out of focus. It's actually pretty flat right now. I could go over here and then just do it so it looks a little bit tiled there. And I say OK. And whether you like it or not, you know what I'm saying. I could go back and just hit undo if I'm using undo here. I'm just going to step backward. I like it like that. I might want a different color, whatever. I'm just showing you some basic effects with this.